John 18:2. Eide de kai Judas, ha paradedus auton, ton topon, hoti, palakis sunegthe Jesus eke meta ton matheton autou. Remember, right before this, we read that Jesus and his disciples were leaving the city of Jerusalem, going beyond the Kidron Valley to a garden. And we read, and Judas, the one who would betray him, also knew the place, because frequently Jesus gathered there, or met there, there's the word there, eke, met there, with his disciples. Oh, several things we could look at here. Let's start with this first word. Probably that capital Eta was throwing you off. Let's look at the form as it would occur if the initial letter were minuscule and the iota subscripted. Does that look a little more familiar? Eide, right? And maybe you recognize that as coming from oida. This is the pluperfect form of oida. It's just pluperfect, active, indicative, third person singular. It's a bit strange, right? Not many pluperfect forms in the New Testament. But just as oida is a perfect form of the present meaning, the pluperfect form is essentially like an aorist or an imperfect. So we just translate it as a past, right? So Judas, there's your subject, and then there's the appositional restatement, the one who would betray him. Judas knew, right? We're just translating it as a simple past. He knew also the place. And let's look at this word sunegthe. I tell students, when you can translate that, you know you are becoming a Greek parsing exegete, because there's not a single letter left from the uncompounded form ago, if you can recognize that, right? It's kind of, wow. Yeah, the compound form is sunago. And you can see what we have. Remember, when we have a compound form, the augment's going to come here. So the alpha lengthened to an eta. The gamma aspirated to a chi when we added in the theta here. Remember, when you have a theta, it's like an easy chair. Somebody kicking back, feeling passive. And then we have an augment and a theta. So it's going to be in form, aorist passive indicative. It's third person singular to match the third person singular subject, Jesus. Jesus gathered. Now, if we didn't have any other context, we might say, well, aorist passive, Jesus was gathered. Jesus was assembled there with his disciples. But that doesn't really make sense. So that's why we're going to parse it as a medial passive. It's a passive form conveying a middle idea of gathering together with other people. So we're going to translate it like a middle. Jesus met. Jesus gathered there with his disciples.